Hello everyone, my name is Alex Kolotz and I am working on the board meeting analysis for EDTE 416. I chose to attend virtually a board meeting from Bonita Unified School District, and I know this isn't local, but I actually have a lot of familiarity with this area because it's kind of like Southern California, Azusa area. I recently graduated from USC, so I'm familiar with the SoCal area, and also my cousins and my grandparents live down there, so I've spent a lot of my childhood down there. Um, it's also an elementary and middle school district, and I hope to go into elementary, so it was very relevant to an area that I'm familiar with and the age group that I'm hoping to work with. The meeting began with President Elliott talking about the people who were not present. So they just recently hired a new director of operations named Mr. Ziegler, and he was not present, which is kind of unfortunate because they had a lot to say about him since he was a recent hire. But they did a lot of discussing how he was more than qualified for this position. He's had over 25 years of experience and worked at over 56 school sites. They made him sound pretty impressive, which was good. They also mentioned how the assistant superintendent was not present because she was attending some sort of an event called Every Child Counts. Then after that, they did the flag salute, and there was a couple little announcements they made, such as this meeting took place at the end of January, so they were talking about February being Career Tech Education Month, and they were making a point that they really, really want to strive for good tech in their school district because career tech is going to be something of the future, and they really want their students to be informed and knowledgeable of that stuff. They said that it's kind of the modern day culinary arts and woodshop classes that they offer at their schools, and that this kind of technical knowledge will be crucial to their future success. Then they also talked about a basketball coach in their district who just got their 500th win, lifetime win, and they were all kind of having a little conversation about the coach's career and how successful he's been, what a great asset to their district he's been, and how he's really dedicated his life to these kids and the sport. And it was just really encouraging to hear them praise this coach. Also, they really encouraged fellow staff and parents to just make an appearance to student sports events. These kids really get excited when they have people cheering for them, and they were just like, it really means a lot to see their third grade teacher in the audience cheering for them. They also talked about there was a past event where they had coffee with the principal at the local schools, and parents could just go and discuss whatever with the principal. And I thought this was really awesome because it kind of ties into what we've learned in this class about just creating a communication between parents and staff and having the principal make themselves open to conversation with whatever parents or whatever wants to just come and talk about anything that's going on in school. Was awesome opportunity to connect with the local parents. Also, they were talking about how several of their schools' gymnasiums were under construction, and that this is really exciting because these schools will have new facilities really soon and a chance for the students to have a great place to have PE or after school sports or other activities, and that there was a small concern because of El Nino coming up that the construction would get rained on and that it may push back the finish date, but it seems like since El Nino is mostly past or things have kind of been done with that, I think that everything's okay as of now. This was kind of funny, the president got a little humorous here and talked about how there's a super lottery coming up and that, hey, if you win, please donate to our district. And everyone was laughing and all the audience was laughing, and it was really a way to get in a comfortable environment going to just talk about something a little funny and make a joke at the beginning so that it didn't seem so intimidating for maybe the people in the audience to uh, just to make them comfortable in that atmosphere. They also talked about, again, about technology, how they need to work on a long-term plan for getting technology implemented in their classrooms. They talked about how there's an upcoming workshop to discuss the state budget and the budgets at their school. And then they announced that one of their local schools, so Laverne Heights Elementary, had just won the 2015 Golden Bell Awards for accelerated readers. And what they did was they brought in the school's teachers, a couple of their teachers, and I think the principal was there as well, to just talk about what they do at that school and why they're so successful with their accelerated reading program. So some of the things they said in their presentation during the meeting was that they set goals for students and they really strive to have students set goals for themselves and work towards it all year long. They let students know that reading is really important for their future success, no matter what subject they're most interested in. And they just got a new library at this school. They give their students a lot of opportunities to go visit the library. They have all kinds of reward systems involved, and they also have done a family reading night at their school where they make root beer floats and they do reading activities and take quizzes with parents and their students. And this is a really good way to get parents involved. This was also kind of talked about in chapter 6 of our book, how parent involvement really makes the student more successful. And having these family reading nights obviously proved to be very successful because this school won the award for accelerated readers, so that's really cool. They also do kinds of rewards like students who finish 90% of their reading get a special lunch. They have Breakfast of Champions, and they have parties at the end of the school year, things like that that just really motivate the students to get their reading done. Also, this was really cool. I thought this was cool because they have a field trip to the LA Times Festival of Books, which is at USC, my alma mater. So it's kind of cool to know that this school that was so successful goes there every year, and maybe that could attribute to some of their success because the students get to go to a really prestigious university, see what it's like, and maybe think, oh, I really want to go here someday. And then after the presentation made by some of these teachers, the award, which was a big plaque, was actually given to them by the president of the district, which was really cool, and everyone was cheering. Then what they did next was really interesting. They brought in several students from the district. They brought in a elementary student, a middle school student, and 3 high school students to just talk about what was going on at their school, what kind of successes they were having, what projects they're working on. And something that I noticed is that they brought in students from all different backgrounds. There was multiple races represented. Well, there was both men and women, or young men and young women, and all these students were very excited to talk about what was going on at their school. Like they would talk about, we just had the most students in attendance in the whole district, or our basketball team just made it to the championships and things like that. And you could tell that the students were a little nervous talking at a board meeting, but also were very excited to brag about their schools a little bit. And kind of, I think that is also motivating, knowing that they're going to be speaking at these meetings, because it gets them like, let's be really successful so we have a lot to say. So I thought that was really cool, and it also made the environment a little bit more comfortable for maybe people who are in the audience not really knowing a whole lot about the logistics behind the district, but having the students there who aren't really talking in academic language, very simple language. You get to see firsthand what is going on in these schools. So that was really cool. Then at the very end of the meeting, they had an auditor come in and talk about the financial logistics from the past year. They talked about, what kind of assets they had, what kind of debt they're in, how where all the money's going, from maintenance to like state controls and attendance procedures and compliance and site visits and all the different stuff that the money goes into or is being taken from. And so this part was a little bit challenging to understand because at the meeting they handed out like a 40-page data packet with all the numbers for the whole district. And so it was a little hard for me to follow because I didn't have that visual, but it was really cool how transparent they were about where their spending is, and any parent in that audience could see exactly where the money goes and how it's being used for their student. Also, some reflections. They did have some speakers that were very willing to make the environment comfortable and did not use really thick or rich academic language, like the guy at the beginning who tried to be humorous and make it comfortable. And then bringing students in was great. But there were some of the board members that spoke in very academic language, were hard to understand. If you were a parent who wasn't studying this, you would have no idea what they're talking about. So I think that there was a good enough balance to where a parent would be able to understand most of what was going on. But if I could give any feedback to any of the board members, it would be to just be careful of overly academic language, because if there were parents or any other staff members involved who just wouldn't understand what was going on. There also wasn't a ton of interaction from anyone other than the board members. I'm not sure if that's standard for this type of board meeting, but I would have liked to maybe see someone ask a question or some more interaction between audience and board members. But it was still really good experience, and I hope to attend one in person very soon in the future. And it really helped knowing kind of what to look for from all the stuff we've read about parent involvement, community involvement, the racial diversity, and how that stuff was incorporated, and they really tried to implement that in that board meeting. So overall, it was a great experience, and I'm glad to have done this assignment. Thank you.